Popped off low key, yeah, you know me. Kickin' with Tyree, hit a 3 like Kyrie.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Kickin' It with Tyree. I got my guy here, Ant, the owner of TYF Media. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great. I always start from the beginning. So how did you get into entertainment?
Well, I mean, it started young. I was a big fan of entertainment in general, different types, movies, music. Definitely rap was like my thing. Kanye West is like I'm a stan for him. So it just started really as an interest, and as a young age, like the normal age, people start coming into their own creatively. Then I would say, to speed it up a little bit, I went to high school. It was more of a creative high school, and it was out of art classes. I mean, whole floors for art and stuff like that. So I was surrounded by like constant creativity and people that were like, just doing things. They were either artists or they were making music and stuff like that. I had a brief stint attempting to be like kind of like a producer / songwriter, and that went terrible. I feel like a lot of people start that way when they're really young. But I was around the age of I was like 15, 16. But I'd say, realistically getting into entertainment, starting to build the foundation was around like kind of when I was 18. I started my first like legitimate business with a couple friends of mine, and we were doing like a mixture of like just, we were still in high school. We were like about to end high school, but it was like towards the end of my high school experience. Long story short, we would throw a lot of parties. And we just turned it into a business. And we threw a lot of parties just in the city. And I started to explore to be around like the, more popular sides of town and meet a lot of new people, which was kind of like a culture shock for me because I grew up very north side, like the furthest north you can go. I would hang out in like, places I was either on the north side for my ages through 0 through 14, and then I went to high school and I met so many different people who like had different kind of upbringings and walks of life. And for me, I grew up like the white kid in like, it was kind of reverse. It was like the one white guy on that football team or the one white guy in that group of friends, you know what I'm saying? So I was around I was the minority in the minority group, so I got to pick up that culture growing up, and that was just normal to me, you know what I mean? So a lot of their interests, which is the normal interests of just minority children, is basketball, you know what I mean? Football, sports, rap music, the type of way I dress, speak sometimes. So by the time I went to high school, I was in a culture shock because I saw a lot of people speaking one way, and just going to hang out with friends after school and seeing how their families lived and what they did for fun and everything. It kind of gave me an attribute to like learn the different walks of life and know how to operate in those. So by the time I was like throwing parties and stuff, the reason why they became successful is because I was successfully bringing kids from one side of town. We live in a very segregated city. Yeah. If not one of the most segregated cities in America. It is the
most segregated city in America.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
We figured out how to bring kids from all over into one room and have a small ratio of like disruption and not fun. Like it was just
anytime you throw a party though, there's disruption.
Yeah, it just picked up and we were just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I think we even broke 1,000+ people at one of them. And we did that and we turned it into a business. I wouldn't say it was like financially successful because there's just the amount of people involved, the learning curves, and just people finessing and doing just young kid stuff.
It's like you turned it into a networking event and shit like that. I definitely feel that it's easy. I feel you on the part where you go from one place, because I was in MPS for pretty much until high school, and then I went to Waukesha South, and then it was like, shit. Yeah. That's where I realized that like no matter what, you just gotta just be you, because once you had that culture shock, you just can't try and change to like try and talk more proper or shit like that.
No, you just kind of pick up things. Like you just become your surroundings of what interests you. So if, you know what I mean? If you're just around certain people, the people you connect with, you just kind of, some part of you becomes that group and that setting. So you're able to take what you learn from them or hanging out with them and you know, back home, you know. So for me, I've always been in an entrepreneurial spirit. Where I was younger, I sold t-shirts when I was in middle school. I was cutting people's grasses. I was doing whatever I could to buy shoes and shit. Like before I had like something I wanted to actually do, it was just strictly for things to like, I was in a position to where I had to buy that pair of shoes or like the stuff that I wanted the most. Even in high school, I had to buy my first car. You know what I'm saying? I had to, you know, so I always had to figure out, how am I going to make money to do this? So that kind of wired me to take advantage in a good way of being around people who are kind of more well off when I was around them. Because when I was younger, I just didn't have access to that. Like I was, you know, middle class, lower middle class. I would even go as far as saying that. Like I lived in a duplex that was kind of like packed in. You could hear what the person was saying in the other room right next to you. So it's like you had like very small privacy, you know. So I just kind of locked myself away and was watching MTV and movies and playing video games my entire life while, you know, growing up, because I just was so limited. If I wasn't playing sports, I was...
What else was you doing?
Taking in just media content, and it kind of formed, you know, a lot of the times, like, I stand over certain things, even I go in rooms sometimes and I have to catch myself standing over Kanye West and mentioning his name too much. When I'm in rooms of people who literally have access to him and work with him and can put me in the position that, but I have to, you know, that's how much of a fan I am at heart of things. So it's, you know, I'm just in this constant process of myself of just making sure I balance myself out. Yeah. So I want to reroute it to not take away from the entire story of how I got into entertainment, because I know I can go on and on. So we did the whole party thing.
You go on rants.
Yeah. We did the whole party thing. My friends went off to college. They didn't care about the business at all. They went and did their own thing, like ASU and just shit that was way more exciting than me in Milwaukee and making
just
something.
Having parties in Milwaukee.
Summer fun. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had to figure out, okay, where am I generally wanting to go in life right now? So I was working at restaurants since high school, 15 years old, 14 years old, just always to keep money, cash flow coming in. I did a little bit of school for a little bit, probably like not even a full year of college, and just in Milwaukee. And during that time, I was just kind of meeting people from the echoes of me throwing parties. So like a couple artists I kept in contact with, and I ended up managing one who was fairly known around here. I don't want to go into too depth about that whole shebang, but I ended up spending that next year while I was in school traveling to Chicago a lot. Because long story short, I became his manager. I had no idea what I was doing half the time, but I had really good ideas sometimes. So those kind of compensated for and I wanted to win too, so I would do whatever it takes. I was driving my car every day, you know, to places, picking up random ass people just to make the pieces come together, putting my own money up. So I went on this year and a half journey with somebody, like learning how to like manage scenarios. In this case, I was managing an artist. Yeah. And from when I started to when I ended that, I was just this new type of person. I had an image per se. Like I had like like somewhat of an image. People knew me for this specific thing. Like he does this, you know what I'm saying? And I was known as a guy who can do events and who can manage and bring good ideas to the table, or who was just a kind of a dick, or, you know, it comes off one way or the other with people. So long story short, I wanted to not take like orders anymore. When you're a manager, you're under somebody. You're somebody's employee, regardless if it's legitimate and you're making money or you're not making money. I didn't make shit. Like, I wasn't making any money. I was flipping burgers. Because
as a manager, you just got to do what your client says.
Yeah, like we would go to a show and like open up for Freddie Gibbs and sold out show and get written up in the paper the next day like that we had the better set than them.
Yeah.
Or we would do a Uzi concert sold out and 4,000 plus people and get great write-ups, be on really big up and coming publications. I wasn't getting money for that. Like I was, if anything, losing money because I was putting, making things work. Expenses on my car, expenses on, T-shirts we were putting out, merch. I wasn't making. At that point, it was just, how do you do this stuff? How do I get into it? So I kind of came to be accustomed to running around in music. So that was kind of the first thing of entertainment that I kind of got into realistically, where I got a first shot at something. So one thing I picked up on was that I always had to reach out to photographers, and it just pissed me off.
Yeah.
It pissed me off having to renegotiate, build relationships with new people if one person fucked up and did something not to our liking.
Yeah.
So and if I would break off relationships with a creative, I would be the dick in the scenario. Yeah. So, like, I always had to meet new people because a lot of people will fuck up on what we actually wanted until it came out to perfection. But over the year and a half, I had to learn, okay, what are things we always need? A video guy, photo guy, somebody who can do digital work or whatever just to put out art and, make us look good.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, all right, I'm looking to move into something else that doesn't just put me in a category of working in music, because at the end of the day, it's just so not like, I can't see myself solely as somebody that works in one place and works in one type of setting. So I was thinking of, how do I start my own thing? Well, I had
don't get too far into it. I was going to ask a question about that. What you got? You're like going through your whole story.
Yeah. Well, the first question was,
how did you get into
start
entertainment?
from the beginning.
Start from the beginning. How did you get into entertainment?
Yeah. Okay.
You told me the middle.
So that's how I got into entertainment.
Yeah. You started managing, we won't say, but you started managing artists. And how do you feel like, you already kind of said how that created you to who you are today.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you've grown as a person since then?
Well, at this point, I was around 18 then. I just turned 24 in July. Well, I guess that's a half a year ago now. But I'm 24 now, so it's about 6 years ago at this point. How I've grown since then is just like, I've just learned I've just been on a learning curve the entire time. And I've taken initiative to take chances on things now. So instead of everything just being, okay, what to do, what not to do, I've actually came up with my own theories of how to make things work, how to make money, how to turn this, what I'm doing, into like a nice business, like an actual, to where I could actually make some type of income and not have to go clock into work. Yeah. So I've learned how to do that until now. Like, I don't work. I own everything that I have. I'm an owner in everything I'm involved in, unless it's like a business relationship with a client. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm able to now support myself off of entertainment. So that's the point where I'm at in life right now, at the age of 24. So the gap between 18, the 6-year gap is what I've picked up and learned is I know how to take my hobby or idea, my lifestyle, and turn it into a actual business that isn't just getting me by. Because when I was working at jobs, I was just getting by because I would have to reinvest it into this and then pay bills. Now I can pay bills and reinvest,
live comfortably,
and then have and just keep working on to just do whatever I want to do next, jump into new types of businesses, which is what I've been doing.
That's what's up. Another question I had, I know you have a great work ethic. What does your work ethic mean to you in your business?
Well, I think my work ethic is just like I'm just in a constant battle with my DNA. Like I things are hereditary of what you pick up, like how you're born and what you're born into. I was born into a world where I had to learn how to like work for what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. My DNA is the opposite of that. My DNA is like I have lazy tendencies. I have tendencies where I can, have weeks where I like don't do anything. Yeah. And I'm at home and I'm not doing anything but my mind is always working when I'm not, and I'm not saying it happens really as much, I mean, there are times here and there, but now it's like not a big thing if I do that. Mm-hmm. But before, when I was coming up, it was huge because, you give one day up, you're down $150 because you didn't go to work that day. Yeah. Or, you're down just time, and time is of the essence. So for me, I think what makes me so, like you said, like just a hard worker, or just like, I don't know what you said, actually. You said something along the lines of like,
how does your work ethic,
what does your work ethic
my work mean ethic to you?
I think it's because I'm on the winning side of fighting my lazy gene. Okay. So that's just, like I set a goal for myself every year. Like one goal I set when I was 22 was I don't want to be working for someone else by the time I'm 23. On my 23rd birthday, I was in Miami working with Spotify and Timbaland and like under my own business. You know what I'm saying? And I quit my job shortly after that. And now it's been a full year and a half that I haven't been, working for anyone. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I just set goals. Now I have different goals. Now I want to start another business, and TYF is still operational. You know what I'm saying? I contract to people. I learned that whole structure. I reworked my structure because about a year ago I had a real smack in the face of reality of how it works, and like running a business and taking an L. Like I took an L and I lost some of my biggest creatives who were along the ride with me. You know what I'm saying? And I needed to learn how to rework that and like quickly make something happen, because I had just quit my job, and like maybe a month and a half later, the people I was coming up with, we just disbanded with each other. Yeah. And I totally didn't see that coming. So, I had to figure out that put pressure on me. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't put pressure on me just getting out of a sticky scenario, but it's like, okay, now here's a new goal I can set for myself. How do I rework this company and just know that it's a brand that's going to last, and it's not just built off of the people who built it with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a brand that could work without me in it. That's what I want to make it to be, and that's what it has become. Yes. Now it's like I have people working in New York that I contract with, and LA. Like I just work with Soho House, and I'm not even there. I'm not even there right now on set or anything like that. I'm just contracting small. Right now productions are smaller. You know what I'm saying? So
especially with COVID and everything going on,
that will direct and produce. But I've learned how to operate the business without me having to take such large jumps to like get work. You know what I'm saying? I have a good net of creatives that I contract with, and now I can do that and then work on our own productions.
That's what's up. Let's end on that, or not end on that note, but take a break on that note. We'll be right back.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.
All right, guys, we're back here. We're kicking it with Tyree. We got my guy Ant here. We're talking about how you got into entertainment and your work ethic and what it means to your business. Now we're going to move on to your new endeavors, like we were just talking about before we started. You have TYF rentals coming soon. I saw that you're working on that. What is that, and what is that going to mean in the future?
Well, for me, it's just, I have different endeavors just even outside of TYF, but, I bring it into kind of, I'm able to leverage the business, the company I have, into anything I jump into. So for me, one thing what this year has taught me, because, I want to take it back to March when everything went down. It's like the big, fucking blackout or something.
Everything got canceled for a little bit.
Yeah. So I was in LA and I was working with one of our bigger clients, and we had it scheduled out to where we were doing 4 shoots with that same company in different cities over the next month and a half, and it was just gonna be renewed every time towards the end of that, of different sets of things. So my year was like solely planned with, you know, I had other things going on, but like planning around, okay, I'm gonna be in like San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in, like, I had some stuff lined up with Kenny Beats when I was with Kenny Beats and Spotify when we were out there. So we just had finished one session. I work with Secret Genius. They're a department of Spotify. They mainly work with like the songwriters and the producers behind all the biggest records. Like a lot by 21 Savage was made during those sessions. But so they basically bring a lot of producers and writers together for like a week, and then just have them in a whole bunch of studios making stuff. So we had so much planned for this year, and after the first one, it was like March 15th, and we were gonna come home for a couple days, and then we were gonna go straight to San Francisco, and that's when they canceled everything. So at first it was postponed.
I feel like during that time, I don't know what happened. I don't feel like it should have been. Everything should have been canceled. I think we should have kind of got to that point. Like everything is on alert.
It's good that we closed things down early, just considering the amount of like deaths and stuff now.
But like, it felt like nothing was closed really here.
Yeah, well, that's like, we live in Wisconsin. Like they don't care about anything. If they have to do what their normal weekly thing is, or otherwise everyone's gonna go crazy, because there's only a limited amount of things that people enjoy about living here. So that's a different story. So I had to I was back at the drawing board. You know, I had other businesses. Now I'm starting to just reinvest my money and like start. Like if I come up with an idea, I'll go have an LLC by the next day and a business account and tax ID. I'll have that opened up, and someone putting those pieces together, and me coming in and just laying the vision and the groundwork and there for the important things. Yeah. And then that's kind of what I've been on. So I got about 4 or 5 of those kind of going on just outside of TYF. So TYF's the funner thing to do and work on. But, you know, TYF Rentals is what I spoke to you about. And, you know, just for me, it's like I had to get inventory because I don't own a camera. Yeah. Like, I run a production company. We're semi-successful on a grand scale compared to like the companies that do like the A24s and the Snow Beach Productions and all. Like we're doing more commercial work, so we're not doing the weekend videos, and but we're doing things with Soho, Spotify, Hennessy, like stuff like that, like ads, commercials, you know, some CBD companies and stuff like that. We're doing things like that. So it's like, you know, it's an operational business. It's cool. Yeah, you know, we can go hit up. We
can make money.
Yeah, I can go to LA and hit up. You know, I was just with Beat Butcher when I was out there. He just did the West Side Gun album that came out. He's the producer on that. I met him through working with Spotify and everything. And that's why I say the production stuff is fun, because I get to meet so many people. Yeah.
But you never know who will walk in a studio at that point.
And there's so many more things. Like I had recently went back out there a couple weeks ago, but yeah. So TYF Rentals is just a department of TYF that I wanted to figure out. Okay, we can do productions for people. We can do our in-house productions. I need to have some type of inventory or something to be able to reel in bigger filmmakers. What's going to reel in a filmmaker? You got to have some type of inventory, something for them that's going to spark their interest. Because 9 times out of 10, they're already funding what they're doing. Yeah. And
most of the time,
easy for me to bring
they already have all the
who's
equipment.
Talented and doesn't have a catalog. Like, that's what I'm really good at, is building someone who doesn't have a catalog, but who's talented. You know what I'm saying? But if you look back at who I've worked with, all of them haven't had a catalog before we worked together. And that's what I came in and helped them to do. They were always talented. And that's what drew me to, because I was able to leverage their talent and do a trade-off almost. But for me, it's like, now it's like, okay, I have to be realistic. I need to be we're starting to make some type of real money. How am I going to utilize that? I have to have a base of something. I'm not interested in opening up a space right now. I'm not interested in doing that. I have to have some type of equipment, I have to have some type of, insurance and like stuff in different cities and places that, just to make the experience better for these filmmakers and these directors who are used to that. Because now the directors and people who I've been, in negotiations with and everything, they have their own company to themselves.
Yeah,
they have their own client list.
Where you come in,
they run their own sets. You know what I'm saying? I come in as the overseer, the envisionist of things, and I'm able to leverage clients and getting in the doors of places where people don't succeed at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I run a production company. I live off of money from productions, and I'm the overseer of them, and I don't own a camera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And none of that is just me leeching or getting finder's fees or nothing. That's me grinding and building a platform to give to people. We're not a big company as far as like a Lyrical Lemonade where you're going to go on our page and we have an operational YouTube and somebody, we're able to leverage views versus the quality. A lot of the stuff we work on is we're just supplying the quality for you to take and do
get
what
the
you want to
views.
do with it.
Yeah.
I don't care if your shit works or not. I want it to work, but that's not my role, is for me to bring traffic into what you're doing. My role is just for us to show up and get the job done and make that shit look fresh. If it just doesn't work,
that's on your part.
On them for the most part, but it couldn't be in certain different areas. But so for me, it's just like I need to build inventory. I need to have more people on hand that I can, build a relationship with during these 8 months that we've been just sitting at home. So I started reaching out to people from different cities who I've lightly spoke to or talked to, and I started contracting with them through these months. So I was able to contract whole productions, small productions, little deals, little photo shoots, like with big artists that are all under TYF, and it's a win-win because it's opening up employee networks in different cities for TYF, and it's letting me make money while I'm sleeping, and also open doors for.
It's almost like you're on the path to more of a creative agency than a
because a production company is so broad because you have to be just a production company.
A creative agency. You have many. What did you say? We had 30 minutes, but.
We can go an hour. We can go 2 hours. I don't care.
It's just more a battery thing for me.
Cool.
Just knowing when to switch in and switch out. I normally go around like 45, 50 minutes just to keep it spare. Just to keep it spare.
I go a little bit over that.
Like I said, like a creative agency is so much different than a production company. Creative agencies, they're just there to get you to the client. That's the thing. It's
that's
like a model agency
roles.
like that as well.
Yeah, that's one of our roles, because on the flip side of that, we have creatives under us that can do digital work for you, like make an ad just from their home. We have a producer network where all of our music that comes on our videos is all in-house produced. So there's no licensing. All the licensing comes with that. You know what I'm saying? So I want to limit the amount of times that we have to outsource to different people and different companies, because you get a production budget and then you're able to hire on, DPs or grips and colorists and editors. You got these lists of 30 million people on these,
sets.
$12,000 video, $10,000 video. It's not really like lucrative at that point, especially when you're in that middle phase of not doing $100,000 videos, because we're not there yet. So how can I limit the amount of times we have to spend
to get somebody to come in?
And outsource to somebody who's going to do the beat for the background of that song. You know what I mean? I'm able to leverage that, and that's the network of being mixed in with music, mixed in with just that circle of people in those networks. So that's what's been cool. TYF, it's a brand, it's a production company, an agency. We can do booking, we can do everything, but I want to do it all under that. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be an evolving company as the world changes. You know what I mean? We might be making plastic in 20 years if that's what calls for it. If there's a big plastic shortage, you know what I'm saying? But So yeah, that's kind of what I've just been trying to do with the brand, and that's really what the big slap in the face of last year kind of opened my eyes up to. You know what I'm saying? So and just as an individual jumping into new types of business, like I've gotten a tiny bit of money that I'm able to put into my life now. So how am I gonna flip that and keep this thing rolling? Because I don't want to go back and work for somebody. I will never do that. I made that pact to myself a long time ago, and I threw that out the window. And I won't do it. I'll sleep in my car. I'll sleep outside. If it came down to that, I just won't do that again. You know what I'm saying? So now I put that pressure to put me into gear. It's not even pressure anymore. I wake up and I don't feel like I'm, going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this is just what I love to do, and money comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, I'm not necessarily looking to be Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? If I can just live and do what I want, I'm fine with that. Like I'm fine with living a standard lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And buying a North Face occasionally.
A puffy ass North Face. I'm always in this bitch just cozy, low battery. Okay, guys, we're gonna cut that part out, but we'll be right back. We're gonna take a break.
Beautiful.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.
We good. We back for you guys. We got my guy Ant here, kicking it with Tyree. You heard it twice already. But with everything that's going on, how is your business kind of adapted, and where do you feel like you're gonna go forward with it all?
Well, are we speaking about just TYF?
All business endeavors, bro. You can let it all out, or you can.
I'll just stick with a lot of the TYF because that's just what people primarily know me for, and like what's one of my the successful ones so far. A lot of the other things I've started are either pre-revenue or they're just starting to build revenue. But what the question? Could you repeat? Like,
how have your business adapted?
Well, for us, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle to adapt as far as like, I think it's been a struggle for a lot of people is, just single contractors, that people who just work themselves, or, people who just have businesses and companies. Right now, I think is the best time to be somebody who operates as a 2-man show or a 1-man show, because it's like you don't have so many people depending on your, like, you paying them or putting business in their hands and stuff. So for us, it's like in the recent years, a lot of the stuff is like I have a network of close people, like people who I bring on for our main stuff, and then people who we just contract on for gigs just to make sure we can fill the gaps and spaces
in a year,
in the spots, but. And I'm trying to, work with new people a lot, and keep my core people. But, I've been in negotiations with a big director recently to actually help take this thing to the next level and, like, just bring our minds together and stuff. But aside from that, it's nice because it's like, for me, I'm kind of I own 100% of it, still. So I don't necessarily, it's a gig where you're getting just money you're just getting contracted out. So I don't have to pay people every 2 weeks. I just pay them when they get the contract. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of simplified things for me because, you got to go to get your money. You got to go do your own thing. You know what I mean? I've put people on gigs and stuff through the time, the core people that I work with, but it's been a struggle for me to, because a lot of places aren't really biting at doing productions. All of it's, if you watch TV or anything like that, like it's all in studio performances. It's all digitally. The commercials are filmed on phones. It's virtually, all like corny and shit.
It's pretty trash.
People are wearing masks on camera. Like it's like doing interviews with masks on, and so for that, it's kind of not what we do. Like we don't do that. We don't have the big warehouse in LA to like film. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or we're not stationed there. So that's what helped me launch. I took this year to launch a network there to where I'm going to start being fully operational at some point in the first quarter of 2021 in LA.
Yeah.
You know, so I wanted to go there and be like, all right, here, where are the main spots I can shoot at, like places where I can do indoors, in studio. So I had to work out those deals through the year to where I can create that network. And then on top of that, have people jump on board basically a year before we even get into any type of business because of the current scenario going around. So
it still stay kind of under contract in that way and still be down for it because everything pushed so far back.
Yeah.
You still got to be down for it in 6 months. Like,
well,
you got to plan ahead. And
you know, it's just about convincing somebody like who already has, because a lot of the people out there, their work really didn't let up. Like their work really didn't stop. Like when you wake up there and you're a legitimate filmmaker and you're a legitimate camera guy, somebody who can edit or do whatever. I'm not going to name all the names, but if you're legitimate out there, which is who I want to have around me, you know, I want to build people too, but like I have to have legitimate people to become legitimate, you know. They already have their own work going on. They already have their own business. They already have their own clientele. Like, it's not, you know, that's the convincing I have to do is like, okay, I can't bring you this business in the next month or 2 months. I'm not trying to promise business to people. I'm trying to promise that I'm not trying to make any promises. I'm just trying to see who understands my vision and wants to come on board and like when the time is right, which is going to be, you know, within the coming months, you know, we're in a time right now with, you know, vaccines and the markets are going to open back up in certain places. We're in a time right now where that's just up in the air. So that's been the biggest challenge for me this year is like maneuvering that and doing that kind of with all businesses that I'm involved in. I mean, you got to really figure out where the market's going, what is going to be after this, like how is it the right time to get into this? Like, because, you know, still a chance you're just blowing money. Like I finally picked up this year, like how much money is just going to waste.
There's tons of, because you got to think about how much money was spent. Like, I think someone was like, I saw it on Facebook, they got like $10,000 within that point from unemployment, but like how much
that's kind of the range
was
of where
spent
people got
of that.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, you know, a lot of people were getting $10,000, $12,000 just after 6 months, 7 months of waiting for unemployment. So they had to go find something to do.
They had a job or they had to like find a way to make money.
Figure out
like,
a way to just survive on what they had. And then they get the money and it's basically them just catching back up to
all the bills that they might have fallen behind on and shit like that.
Second to splurge on what they want, you know, for the normal person to,
because it's taking like
not doing anything.
At least 2 months. If you file for unemployment, it's going to take you at least 2 months at this point.
Yeah. There's a lot of calls I had to make just to, you know, make sure everything. And that's how it is always though. Like before it's like this got people into gear because it was like
you have nothing else. The normal
jobs that we were going into weren't there. Like they couldn't either go to work or anything. That's how it always is for me. You know what I'm saying? I have to always convince somebody why they should take a chance on this. No, regardless of what the catalog is, regardless of what your work is, you know, there's people that's gonna be that are gonna request your work and your job, but it's like there's always somebody that has just.
There's always someone better, but you got to convince somebody
for the money
while you're the person.
They have so much of that. It's like I'm trusting. It's like getting brought into a new community when you work, or like somebody's family. Like when you work, you know, on these legitimate projects, like they're looking to see not who they can get the bang for their buck on, because every kid who has a camera and wakes up on Sunset Boulevard can get you the best video ever. They're trying to see who can I bring into my community and family. It could be a community of one person or 100 people, and that's their platform and network. Because you're going to be brought in, you're going to be talking to all the people they're affiliated with, or you're on set with, or you're doing this job for this work. You're meeting all of their people and the stuff that they built. You know what I'm saying? Who can I bring in that I'm going to trust to operate appropriately there and just do their job correctly? Not who can I just have somebody to one-off do a good video? You know, there's occasional people like that, but that's people who are guaranteed to make money for you. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just I have to, you know, I'm trying to bring the brand into becoming more of a taken serious. That's why, you know, I want to bring, you know, filmmakers who know how to run things versus me having to worry about making sure people don't invite the artist to the set when they have 4 hours of setup to do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You gotta at that time, and then the artist is sitting around getting bored, and you know, or even stuff with companies. But I don't want to have to worry about that stuff as much. I want to worry about. I have other things I need to attend to, and you know, to push this company forward and keep it operational. So it's about getting somebody who I could work with that. My journey has been to make sure that that's their role and they can take care of that and still perform correctly. So that's what's been my years. I've taken advantage of this time to just open my networks more.
Okay. As a, let's say, businessman from Milwaukee, how would you, let's say, encourage the next one up to start their business, and what steps they should take?
I think you should work for free. Yeah. I think you should and I know that comes off like people hate hearing that from people. Yeah. Like it's so standoffish when somebody says work for free. Like I say it because in particular the word Milwaukee in there, like it's different somewhere. Like if you go to college and you get skill, like I have one of these guys I'm working with right now who he does editing for me and does like digital work. He left school, like film school and like digital, like a marketing school, with $100,000 in debt. So now he's gonna have to work a different job and pursue his passion. It's gonna make his life 10 times harder. Why not just work for free? Don't get yourself into that predicament and teach yourself the shit. Like put yourself in scenarios. If you can't teach yourself shit, put yourself in scenarios where somebody else can teach you that. Like don't, you know, if you go to college for film or, you know, you do, that's fine. But like have a plan when you're coming out of that shit, because chances are if you're not getting these big like grants and like, you know, people who are just paying it off, you're going to have a lot of debt. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's going to really become like 4 or 5 years, maybe even a year later, you're going to lose that same love for what you're doing, especially if you go through a couple bad years or a couple bad incidents where you're like either have a lack of clientele or a lack of high paying clientele. Like, why would you want to wake up and do shoots where you're doing what you love, but you're not paying, it's all taken away from you right when you're done. It's like, oh, I did this so I can get my college payment done this month. I got to make sure I have 3 gigs this month, so every month, so I can just have my $800 college payment or $600 college payment done. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, this is 2020. We're supposed to be 2021, bro. Like, the internet exists. Like, do this shit yourself. Like, go to a community. I know these places. And
filmmaking is that type. I always tell people it's like that type of.
Like these people teaching at schools teach at these schools because they failed at doing it in the professional world, or they only have a couple of like things. Like you have a few guest teachers who like successful people that will come and teach for a semester or a year or something like that. But the general like teaching association of that like world, any world, are
it's most of the teachers I had were like at like the lower side of their career where they've done everything.
They're either really old and burnt out, or they haven't found the success that they thought they were going to have in their career of doing it. So they took a teaching job because it's guaranteed income. You get to work in the same
atmosphere in that way.
That you're, you know what I mean? It's a nice job, but it's like, I didn't get into this business to do that. Like that's just it. Like I don't have any disrespect for any of those people that do that. But this brand of this company and what I'm trying to make this become is like not that. Like I want to make this the next. I want to go bigger than A24. I want to go bigger than Netflix. These Netflix companies that get hired to film these shows. Like this for this particular brand, but in every brand, I want to go to the biggest I could possibly be. You know what I'm saying? So Milwaukee, you have to work for free, dude. Like, you have to work for free in the beginning stages of what you're doing. Like, yeah, you can make little deals. Like, give me a couple hundred here and there. Like, of course. I'm not trying to say take that away. Like, you want to get paid. You just invested money into this shit. You know what I'm saying? But realize what's important and what's not important. Don't get stuck doing stuff for somebody who's not as driven as you. You know what I'm saying? Do it for somebody who's far more along than you are, and can sprout you into those new those new atmospheres. Don't work for free for somebody who's got potential and not but isn't waking up and doing their shit. They have to be doing the same thing that you're doing every day. You know what I'm saying? They got to be on that same level. So learn the difference between that. Like, when people say work for free and then there's a big debate about it, like, that's not what it's about. It's like just working for free so somebody can get off on you.
It's like the same thing. Like, if you want to network and you want to get clients, really, sometimes you got to offer the first one. You got to offer the first one.
There's
like,
no network here. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a network to an extent, but it's not gonna. The people who are at the highest of the chain here, and I mean this with all my truth for what I feel. Yeah. The people who are at the highest chain here, all the money that they get from coming to this is all grants and like money from rich people that want to invest in stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, just to bring it home, like, you know, for this subject specifically, like you're here specifically, you gonna want to travel, you're gonna want to go to other places. You can make you have success stories and stuff, but everyone who has a success story here gets out and goes places, invests in themselves, knows when to work for free or to barter skills or whatever. Like, really get into that grind mode for a couple years, and like, you'll see the results down the line. Like, if you have to work a job full time while you're doing that, you better be up till 4 or 5 in the morning after you get off of work. Like, quit that tired shit, sell your PlayStation, do all that shit if you need to. Like, if you're not somebody who, you know, gets sucked into that, don't go sell your PlayStation. You can you can watch Netflix and stuff, but don't waste 4 days before you start working. Like, don't start working on your 2 days off on Saturday and Sunday. You know, like, oh, now I can finally dive into my. You better be up every living moment that you can to what you want to do. Like, everyone had to do it. All the real ones who survived in the game for years and years to come and who have live off of what they do, they had to do that. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. And on that note, we're going to be right back.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kickin' with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.
Good to go?
Yeah, we were just talking about how we're at a disadvantage in Milwaukee for filmmaking wise, and what you got to do to get yourself ahead. And what I've learned is, like, you really got to kind of almost looking at you and how you do things, you got to really reach out to these places that you want to be and find it. And you got to truly work for free, like offer your service for free. This is what I do.
It's a constant battle. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to cut you off or anything. Yeah. It's a constant battle in those beginning days, because it's like, okay, I want to be taken serious. Like, I don't want to come off like I don't have any, you know, skills with negotiation and stuff like that. So that's why it's important to know when to work for free and when to charge. But like, there's just nothing here that has ever shown that has ever come out to like be a big money maker as far as people who have stayed here and like done. There's been whole facilities open and everything, and one bad hit or one bad year and it's all done. There's nothing here that's stuck. So it's like, I do things very unorthodox. I know I don't know everything specifically about the filmmaking industry or this angle or this spec or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? But I know what I have to do in my role. You know what I mean? I know who I need to bring around to know that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to communicate that with me back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And like make it for me to understand. So, you know, I just here it's like, you just have to get as much work. Like the work has to just be consistent. Like when you're reaching out to these big companies and these places, or these people who work in these big establishments who can get you in the door that are accessible. You're not gonna go send, you know, Cash App, you know, message and they're not gonna answer you back. You know what I mean? You know, they might if you put a sob story on. You know what I'm saying? But they benefit off of that. You know what I'm saying? But somebody who works in that industry, you want to always try to get, read who's around them and read where they are and everything. But the first thing you're gonna have to present is a solid catalog of work from different types of work. So for me, it worked because we had a couple rap videos, we had a couple videos that were like spec content we showed, and a couple recap videos. Awesome photographers, awesome beat makers around us. When we were getting specifically into music is where I got my big break, but I was able to tie that into all my production stuff. And then somebody like me who's an overseer, executive producer, somebody who could come in and know what's whack, what's not going to work. Somebody who's good at having the hard talks. Because I'll say one thing about me is like I'm Mr. Unlikable. Like if I could get a jersey to say that on it, I'm Mr. Unlikable. Like that's the role I play. I am the guy who comes in the room and creatives don't want us be around all the time. Like if I'm in a room too much with somebody and they're, a creative person, especially, I'm so demanding and trying to like make sure we get our shit done correctly that a lot of times people who are slackers or lack in certain areas, they don't like that. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear somebody talking. They always have like this snob. It's just how humans are, a snobby type of, I do for other people, for certain things. But, I'm just Mr. Unlikable. I have to have those hard talks and like let people go of scenarios, like get people out of it. There's been times where I've had to cut strings with just people who like chunks of people at a time because they just weren't doing what was right for my vision. And they were involved with what I wanted to do. It wasn't me involved in what they wanted to do. Yeah. I bring people on to help out with my vision. Is what everyone should do that for themselves too. But for this company is my vision. You know what I'm saying? So it's just I don't know really how to round it back to what we were speaking about, but
I kind of got it's just lost track of where we were even at.
You just want to like build. You just want to build a work ethic of like doing. Like not being along the lines, like fuck what this person, how this is doing, or the standard thing of how things know.
Because nothing is standard. Everything is adaptive.
Know what you need to do, and like learn how to be your own person in it. Like learn how to be like that's what you say me. Like I have this kind of different work structure. There's a million me's out there who do it differently. You know what I'm saying? I have my own way of doing it. But there's this one thing that we all have similarities in. It's just knowing what you're doing. Like if I like knowing my value of things. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna do the cliche, bring value and blah blah blah. Like I'm not gonna say that, but just know what you are doing. Don't involve yourself in scenarios where you're going to be taking an L for losing this. You're going to get more. You're going to get less opportunity working with this person. You're giving this person more opportunity because you're making them look good. Especially in film, you're making people look good.
Yeah.
What people are viewing and what people are seeing online, and where they're getting their money from when they're bringing their content and their brand to companies, wherever they're getting their money from, is through the lens of what you operated and did. Even if it's their vision, you still did it. You know what I'm saying? You still did that part for them. So that's an important key part because they can't just do it by themselves. You know what I mean? It takes two people to have do the operations of something. Like that person has to do what they do. So, just know how to like monetize that shit. Like get on your shit and like figure out new ways how you can differentiate yourself from this overly saturated business. It's very saturated. So yeah.
You just gotta know your value and what it brings to the table.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.
All right, we had a little shortage.
Yeah.
When we back and we're on the question of how do you want to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered just as a person who just kind of didn't fall into regretting decisions of where they wanted to go in life. Like I just don't want to be known as somebody who went and got a job just to make my mom happy or my dad happy or anyone happy. I want to be happy at the end of the day for what I what goals I've set for myself, what I've loved to do my whole life, my hobbies or my interests or what my passions were. I want to follow that direction and like make it a livable situation for me. Like I wanted to play a role in my family down the line, my life down the line, and I wanted to pass it on down the line to people who have similar ethics to me, but like have their own way of doing things. Like I just want to, like what every successful person does. Like I just want to pass on what I've learned in life and my goals and my aspirations. I want to pass that on to a younger generation. That's all humans do, is they just pass on everything to the younger generation. That's how the ever evolving humans work. So for me, that's just what I want to do.
Okay,
so it's pretty simple.
And again, bro, I want to thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Thank you for coming through. Always nice.
Second time I've done this.
Second time, part 2. Y'all can watch the first one way back.
Preferably not.
Don't watch the first one.
Preferably don't watch the first one because I was terrible.
But again, bro, I want to thank you for coming on. Y'all go follow him on all social media platforms.
You could just follow TYF Media _ me. I've come to the conclusion that my social media is just never going to be popping. Like I've just come to that conclusion. So you could just follow TYF Media on Instagram and just kind of go from there. And then that's where all the cool shit is at. So yeah, just follow that.
Again, bro, thank you for coming in, and thank you guys for tuning in to Kicking It with Tyree. It's a wrap.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.